President Dorhofer.
Here, if we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item on the agenda this evening is the omnibus vote agenda. Items on the omnibus vote agenda are considered routine and/or non-controversial and will be approved by one motion. If a separate vote on any one item is desired, it will be pulled from the omnibus vote agenda and voted on separately. Items included in the omnibus for this evening are the minutes of the regular board meeting dated November 15th, 2018, and the payables Les Granger and payroll through December 13th, 2018, in the amount of $448,941.98. Could I have a motion to approve the omnibus vote agenda, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Meline?
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
Commissioner Blue?
Yes.
Commissioner Kessler?
Yes.
President Dorhofer.
Yes, next item on the agenda is the financial reports for the period ending November 30th, 2018. Marla, are there any changes?
No,
Nope,
everything's
and they-
as filed. Thank you.
They are on file, perfect. Next is the welcome to visitors and guests public comment period. Is there anyone who would wish to address the board at this time? Next item would be the unfinished business. Seeing as we have none, I'm going to go ahead and shift a little bit. And let's go to new business, item C. We'll move that up to the front. We'll go out, no, don't need, all right.
No.
All right, then we'll stay on schedule. Next would be reports and communication, Executive Director Jeff Hoosier. Jeff?
Thank you. So you've got, we just mentioned, we've got some of our consultants here on the kindergarten project from Gaywald Hamilton and from DLR Architects. And I believe Dave Brown from the village was going to try to get here as well. We do not have, Abe Singh was going to attend on behalf of the school district and notified me late this afternoon that he wasn't going to be able to make it. Just a quick update on Century Park South. James met with our landscape architect and Copenhagen, our general contractor, earlier this week, as well as Tony from Gaywald Hamilton, who's our engineer on the project. So we're pretty much shut down for the winter now, and they'll get back at it when we get some decent weather. I can just say that we're still not as pleased as we'd like to be with the advancement of the project, specifically with the contractor. So we're continuing to just try to hope for some decent weather. We may get, who knows, February you could get a week of some good 50-plus degree weather, or hopefully in March. I know that's not really anything to lay our hat on, but we're certainly hoping for something like that just to keep things moving. We are having our park staff, James is looking into just the cost of potentially sodding the area as well, just to maybe expedite the turf advancement out there as well. So I think you're all know what's happening with Bears Fit, which is obviously going to compete with our Lakeview Center, and that's scheduled to open sometime, at least they say in like mid-January. If you drive by, you see there's a lot of activity going on with that. They're doing some initial membership sales at a kiosk in the mall right now. But our staff, Joe and also Cheryl are taking the lead on doing some initial marketing just to make sure and looking at what we can do to continue to, to keep our customers retained as best we can. The weather hasn't been real cooperative with this warm weather in terms of the ice rink at Century Park. Parks Department's got liners down. We just haven't had an opportunity to fill at this point. So once the weather breaks, we'll get into that. John Buckner, our Executive Director of SRA CLC, is here tonight to provide the board and the public with just an annual update on SRA CLC. That would conclude my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Jeff? Thank you very much. Next is the Finance HR Superintendent, Marla DeSico. Marla?
Good evening. Just a
Oh,
few.
hold on one second. Commissioner Robbins.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Jeff, any estimate on when the Century Park South construction is going to be completed?
Well, at this point, I couldn't give you a final, but I still feel that the main date that we're really trying to get is that mid-June date. We've got a scheduled farmers market that we want to commence in that location. So I think we can still accommodate that particular event. We just may not. We have to just look at the durability of the turf at that point. We don't want to be bringing vehicles and a lot of foot traffic on the turf if it's not mature enough yet. So I'm confident that we'll get the project completed by that mid-June date.
Is the grading done?
No.
No,
Yes
it's
or
not.
no?
Still in progress. Yeah, they've done, there's a partial like grading done, but they still have some work to do on the grading. Specifically around like the restroom building area, that is still not
But,
done.
but from the stage out to where people are gonna sit, that's done?
It's, again, it's only partial. They really, Copenhagen's been trying to do as much as they can in the areas they're not working in. The areas they're working in, they did not finalize the grading, so.
Looking north from the stage area, yes, that is probably 90%
Yes.
complete.
Really?
Yes. So it does elevate.
Significantly. How are people gonna see the stage?
I was worried about that from day one.
So was I, and I assumed it was gonna be a slope up. It goes up and then flattens out. You're not gonna be able to see the stage.
From the north, looking south,
Yeah, if I'm sitting in the crowd looking south to the stage, I assumed it was gonna be a gradual slope up all the way. It slopes up and then it pitches and goes flat. And you're gonna have a hell of a time trying to see what's on the stage if you're downhill and behind people.
Well, the stage will be elevated from the,
4 feet,
so I don't know. But that's always,
that's a tough one. All right, Marla, finally your
note.
turn.
Okay, a couple of financial highlights. Property taxes, we have one remaining payment, but we've already received over 99% of our property taxes for the year. Bond issue for 2018, the process is complete. We received our funds on November 29th, and this gave us the funds to pay our 2013 and 2016 issues, as well as freeing up some money for our capital improvements. And then in human resources, just wanted to mention, we've recently implemented a new e-learning software for staff called Learn, part of our whole NeoGov group of softwares we've been implementing over the last 2 years. Jessica and Randy have really taken the lead with it, and it's been a great resource for staff and works with both of our hiring software and our performance evaluation software, so we can send staff right to the videos or any type of training that they may need based on either their performance or onboarding as a new employee. So it's been a good addition to our suite of software. Any questions?
Any questions for Marla?
Just have one question.
Commissioner Robbins, please.
Sorry. Excuse me, on new hires, do we get background checks on?
Yes, all new hires, and then we also complete them every couple of years for existing employees as well, and for coaches.
Any other questions for Marla? Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is Recreation Superintendent Tom Ritter. Tom?
Good evening. I can't remember if I mentioned this last month, but I don't think it was on my report. But we're looking forward to this coming summer. Residents will see that we are offering day camp and 1 week options, which is something we haven't done before. We've had a history of using bus service for camps, and it's restricted our ability to be flexible. We haven't used bus routes the last couple of years, so we're trying to go to the extreme level of if we have 10 weeks of camp and people want 3 weeks, they can pick each individual week. So it should give them kind of maximum in customer service to pick which weeks they want to attend. So we're looking forward to that. That'll be in our brochure. Youth basketball leagues will begin their games on January 12th. We currently have 238 children enrolled, playing on 30 teams. Last year we ended up with 247, and there's still a few weeks where we get stragglers coming in, so we'll probably end up in that same 240 plus range. and that's from 3rd grade through 8th grade. 1st and 2nd graders are in a different program. We have 75 enrolled. Last year we had 93. That program is being advertised in our winter book as well, so our numbers will probably end up in the low 90s. So our numbers are consistent in youth basketball from 2018 or 17 to 18. New special event coming up next week? Yeah, the 21st. I forgot to check to see. It's probably sold out. It was close to sold out when I wrote this report. Water Wonderland. It's a chance to swim with a holiday theme. We'll have Santa at the Lakeview Pool. It's from 6 to 8 p.m. on the 21st. It's $3 in advance or $5 the day of, but like I said, I think that is probably sold out. Encourage people to get on the waiting list, though. We again have sold out our family New Year's Eve party, held on the 31st, with 250 people. It'll be held from 4 to 6:30 at the Sullivan Center. Pizza, ice cream, dancing, balloon drop, the usual New Year's Eve festivities, and it'll be done by 6:30 so parents can still have their evenings to themselves after that. Winterfest, it'll be our 7th Winterfest. I can't believe we're on number 7 already, but that's held on Saturday, January 12th from 11 to 2. That is a free event, no registration necessary, so I ask people to put that on their calendar. We usually have about 200 people that show up. We have horse and carriage rides around the park, all free. The Free Spirit sled dog demo team comes out. It's always great to see the dogs, hopefully on snow and not on pavement. Depends on the year, of course, but it's always nice to see them running through the park. Ice skating and sledding will be available, a campfire. We usually have kids' activities going on in the pavilion during this as well. So it's going to be held snow or no snow, so feel free to show up either way. A little bit farther down the road, but registration has begun for our 6th annual craft beer tasting. It will be held on Saturday, March 2nd at the Sullivan Center from 5 to 9 p.m. We will have live music again, food, and we have approximately 15 breweries that attend. And they usually have 2 to 3 different flavors from each brewery. Designated drivers can attend. At the door, it's $10 for designated drivers. It's $30 per person. Tickets are currently available. It goes up after February 23rd to $35. Attendance has been in the 150 to 260 range, which is where we were last year, 260 in attendance. A couple reminders for families. We offer a parent-taught open gym fall, winter, and spring. I just want to remind them of that as the weather is colder. If they have young ones, on Mondays and Thursdays from 8:30 to 10:30 in the morning, we open up our gym and we bring out all kinds of equipment, push carts and bouncy balls and all different things for the kids to slide and play with. It's only $3, or you can get a punch card, 10 punches for $25. Again, that's Mondays and Thursday mornings. We always have open gyms throughout the year, but right during the holiday break, we have a special rate for resident youth. It's only $2 if you are 18 and under. And the dates that we offer that price are the 21st of December, which is the first day of holiday break, through January 4th. The hours vary, so I encourage people to check the website for our open gym hours, but it's only $2. Final 2 items, just the warming shelter is at Century Park Pavilion is ready to open for skating and sledding. We just need the snow. So if the weather starts to turn extra cold or extra snowy, please check either our hotline or our website. We have a button right on our website which says whether it's open or not. But the pavilion will be staffed on weekends throughout the winter from 1 o'clock to 9 o'clock p.m. As long as there's snow or ice and it's open, you can come at any other time. But from 1 to 9 p.m. is when it's actually staffed, and you can get into the building. We usually have hot chocolate and food for sale. But the main thing is that's when you can get free skate rental. You can check out skates. All you have to do is leave your shoes as collateral. And finally, we're excited to announce that we are changing the name of our Hawthorne After School program. We've talked about that for a while. The name Hawthorne in there sometimes confuses people to think it's a school program, and it's a Park District program. So it's going to be called PALS, and that represents the words play and live stronger, which is a play off of our tagline of play and live stronger. So as people get ready for the 1920 school year, and it's in our spring summer brochure, look for the PALS logo instead of the HAP logo. And I'm tired of talking. If there's any more, it's a longer report today. Any questions?
Tired of listening to you. Any questions for Tom? Thank you very much, Tom. Next item on the agenda, Park Superintendent James Kim. James?
Good evening. I just want to start with Century Park Island. Tree removal went very smoothly. A clean cut was the contract. They removed approximately 60 trees that were dead, dying, or diseased. In the next couple of years, we are planning to replant as many as we possibly can, but we feel that the 1-to-1 ratio that we try to adhere to is kind of not possible for the island. So if there's any questions about the removal or future plannings, please feel free to reach out to the Parks Department. Over at the old maintenance shop, another phase of the fuel tank remediation work was completed on Wednesday. They dug a hole about 30 feet wide, about 15 feet deep, and approximately 80 cubic yards were removed and brought over to advanced disposal for disposal, appropriate disposal. Samples are going to be analyzed, reports are going to be made, and they'll send them off to the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency as soon as they possibly can. And then they'll have, I think, 90 days to respond, and then we'll have 90 days to respond. So that's approximately much longer this could take before we get an answer on direction, or hopefully get a no further remediation letter. Just to note that the smell of fresh gas and diesel was still pretty potent when they were digging. So this was actually a good thing that we did this. And IPRA recently held a professional outreach session in regards to playgrounds. It was put on by Game Time and Cunningham Recreation. They're offering a 50-50 grant or rebate, or buy one, get one, as they want to call it, for playgrounds coming up in the spring of 2019. We're looking to take advantage of this with Kelly Garvanian Park. We hope to have a couple preliminary drawings for the January board meeting, and then have a final design for February, as they need to be paid by the end of March in order to qualify. And then we're going to install sometime in May. And that concludes my report. If there's any questions.
Any questions for James? When we pay in March, when do we get the product?
Excuse me?
When we pay in March and we're going to install in May, when do we get the product?
We will receive, well, we can, if we have the final design in February, and let's just say like a March 1, it'll be 6 to 8 weeks from that point, and then we won't get an invoice until we actually have the product in our hand. They'll be very flexible with that part. They just wanted to put a date out, so it's not just floating around and around.
So we're not paying them in March and not getting the product in April.
Okay. Excuse me?
We're not paying them in March and getting the product in April.
No. As soon as we put the design together, they'll have it in production.
All right. Any other questions for James? Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is Lakeview Facility. Joe Zimmerman. Joe?
Hi. So, just discussing our revenue and memberships for the month of November 2018. We saw our active memberships as of November 30th at about 3,200 compared to around 3,000 last November. So we saw an increase there. Our revenue for the month of November was around 34,000. It's a 7.5 increase over the revenue of last November, so that's definitely a positive. Our total year-to-date, however, was down. Last year it was about 180,000. This year, year-to-date, it's about 138,000. Other notes, we just completed our 60-day challenge. It's a promotion that we run annually to attract new members to try the facility at a discounted rate for a short period of time. Current members are also encouraged to participate. Anyone that participates earns a free month of membership if they finish 60 visits by, it didn't complete yet, sorry, by December 31st. The first 100 finishers receive a Yeti water bottle with the Lakeview logo, as well as a t-shirt. All finishers receive a t-shirt. This year we had 787 members and non-members participate. In 2017, we had 727 members and non-members participate in the 50-day challenge. To date, 99 of the 60 days participants have finished and were rewarded their free month Yeti and t-shirt. And we're trying to make sure going forward that it's one consistent date instead of, or one consistent number instead of 60 or 50 or 100. Fit Rewards and Retention Management, two of the softwares that we'll be getting rid of in the future. Fit Rewards will be going out of business on January 31st, 2019. And retention management we have stopped using. So at the end of the month, this will be our last month with it. We are confident that we can do all the retention in-house. The big thing at Lakeview right now is that we're exploring new software. We're in the initial stages of looking for a software that accommodate fitness facilities needs. There are certain functions that we can't perform with Max Galaxy that I find vital to growing revenue and membership. We're looking at 6 software companies right now that can provide us a mobile app, easier online purchasing capabilities, scheduling and booking tools, retention and communication tools, and in-depth analytics / reporting. We're also ran a few events during the holidays. So we have the Giving Tree right now from December 1st to December 17th. It's in our lobby. Essentially, we have paper ornaments that are hung on the tree with instructions to purchase gifts or a gift card to a grocery store for the amount of $15 to $25. And then the gift cards will be given to the D73 families in need for the holiday season. We also had the Dreidel Challenge. In honor of the Hanukkah celebrations, we held a Dreidel fitness challenge. Each side of the Dreidel corresponded with a specific exercise. Participants spun the Dreidel and performed the exercises that it fell on. We'll also have Winter Break Open Swim, December 21st to January 4th, at a discounted rate. It's $5 for an individual or $10 for a family of up to 4 people. And finally, our holiday hours will be open 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, and New Year's Day. We will be closed on Christmas Day.
Any questions for Joe? Commissioner Robbins?
Joe, I'm a little concerned that our gross income year-to-date is down a little over 25%. Have you done any, I know you just started recently.
Yeah, I did a little digging. And part of it is the Family Aquatic Center. That's down about $20,000 from last year, as well as our annual Lakeview Fitness Center packages. It's also down about $20,000. I can't tell you at the moment why that's happening, especially on the annual side. But yeah, I know I see the numbers, and we're working to put together a plan to make sure that we can get back up.
What about expenses year-to-date?
There, I don't have the exact number, but I can tell you that we're looking into changing a few things. The Fit Rewards and the retention management accounted for $500 a month, so that's a savings right there. And then at the moment, we're looking into changing some of our vendors that the prices seem a little high, where we can probably get a better rate if we're doing it ourselves. So trying definitely to go line item by line item as I have time, and make sure that we're cutting expenses where we can.
Okay, thank you.
So help me with the math. I tend to be pretty slow on this kind of stuff. Membership's up 200 and some,
Well,
Is that-
100
About 150.
150. And yet we're bleeding out the back end, which tells me we're offering too many deals that people are taking advantage of, and that's where we're bleeding out the back end. Is that?
I think that's part of it, yeah. I think we are offering too many deals and too many promotions, and that we need to go through and figure out which ones are,
cost effective.
Yes,
As opposed to
exactly.
being effective, they need to be cost effective.
yeah, and that's part of the, kind of the process that we're going through right now. When I came in, that's one of the first things I noticed, is that it just seemed to be just like a plethora of deals and promotions, so we'll make sure that we'll cut back on that.
You know, there's been a couple other expenses too this past year. We had a heating system go down in October, that in the pool area, mechanical area, that cost us, I mean, that doubled. So you got some expenditures that this roof project that we've had, those are gonna, bleed us a little bit. But I can just tell you, I know more than I would just say some of our other management that ran that facility. Joe is doing everything he can, really, really scrutinizing each and every line item and trying to find, where, well, he just cited a couple, but there's more than a couple that he's been engaged in. And so Marla and I are working with him on a regular basis to look at that. Some of it's Group X, we've talked about this before, that, he's now directed his staff to really look at classes that are extremely minimal, and obviously some of our instructors that maybe could perform a little bit better, that we're just going to move them out. So we'll find that, I believe, you'll start to see that this next fiscal year, that some of the Group X class expense is going to serve better. But yeah, I get it. I get it too. I mean, when you're looking at, you're up 150 members from prior year, but yet, our revenue's down.
Revenue's down.
Yeah, considerable. In this past June, we did introduce a new pricing plan for membership, and that's one of the things that Joe's assessed that we're gonna need to change that once again. Got too many options.
Back here.
So we're on it, we're aware of it, and we'll continue to address it, and we'll certainly be coming back to you with recommendations that we feel are in the best interest of still providing a good quality product at Lakeview, but making sure that we're meeting our revenue goals.
And I'll just throw out, with Bears Fit coming in, what is the plan? If we don't, obviously we've been offering discounts too much, or what is do we have any kind of game plan yet at this time?
In regards to, like, the discounts, I kind of hold the belief that when you offer too many, people are just waiting around to look for the next one. So in that regard, I really want to cut down on that, and I realize there might be an initial hit that people will continue to look for the next discount. I'm meeting with Lacey and Marissa to really go through and see which ones were cost-effective and brought in a good, decent amount of revenue. I know her 60-day promotion had a pretty great ROI. So for the expenses that she told me that she had going out with the revenue coming in, so that might be one that is viable going forward. Other than that, it's right now with Bears Fit, it's just making sure that we're prepared when they open, and that we're making sure that we're in front of our members and our clients, and providing the best experience possible.
How much do we know about what's going in there?
In the Bears Fit, they have like a video online that shows they have a pretty nice little turf area, a bunch of cardio equipment, a good little weight room, and I believe 2 group fitness rooms, nice locker room, but no pool.
So regardless of who the competition is,
Yep.
we've got our niche, we're gonna fit into our niche, and we gotta make sure that we're servicing our niche. And
Absolutely.
that's irrelevant of who comes in, where, when, why, and how, because
Well, but the relevant part is how much do they compete? You know what I mean? If we're gonna come up with a strategy to compete, we need to know where we're better and where we're the same, and
Yeah, and I honestly,
I mean-
I think one of the biggest things where we can improve, and it's going to make us more competitive with other facilities, is the software. To be quite honest, at this point, Max Galaxy is not doing it, and if we're trying to be a competitive fitness facility, we need to be at least at the same level software-wise as the rest of the facilities in the
What
area.
will that allow us to do?
One, the mobile app will allow us to be in touch with our customers and our members, the drop of a hat, push notifications, mass texting, mass emails, without, it basically streamlines it. For example, one of the things was we had somebody drop out, one of our fitness instructors cancel last minute. For us, that'd be a nice feature to just really get that information out to our client base right away. It also allows us to really find certain segments with our group fitness classes and target them. Right now, Like with our group fitness, all we see is a number of the people that were in there. We don't see who those people are. We don't see the demographics. That allows us a lot of tools to track that. For me personally, the reporting tools that would come from a different software would be very beneficial. Right now with Max Galaxy, I'm very limited in what I can find. For example, to find unique visitors in a month, I would have to print it off and go through manually and pick out every single one. To me, that handcuffs us quite a bit, along with just our clients being allowed to purchase online, right, in electronic forms. Right now, our clients, for the most part, either have to call in or show up in person. It's not, I mean, if we're trying to keep up with the competition in that sense, it's basically the ease of which we can allow our members to do everything.
And then they can choose which emails they want, and
Absolutely,
if
yeah.
they're an exercise person, they want to update the latest updates. If someone else is more pool, you would want to know if something's closed, so you kind of select which ones you're going to be.
Exactly. It wouldn't, one of the things I've always found is like, we really want to be targeted with our information. So if we're sending out mass emails or mass texts to people who don't need that information, all it'll do is push them away.
Yep.
So if we have this software where we can really segment those different, anybody who's ever used our pool, we figure out who they are, that information is pertinent to them. So, and that way it doesn't push members away who only use the fitness
That
area.
sounds great. Wonderful.
Thank you, Joe. Next item is the Marketing and Communication Manager, Cheryl Beeman. Cheryl?
Good evening. Our spring, summer, and camp guide is in its first draft. It is scheduled to be mailed the week of February 18th. Actually, tomorrow morning, I'm interviewing Gail Herman. We're going to dedicate an entire page to her on her upcoming retirement in 2019. We just had a Time to Play community outreach craft program on November 29th in Century Park Pavilion. We had about a dozen kids and their parents show up to make some winter crafts. It's always a nice 2 hours of time. Just to talk a little bit about some promotions we had at Lakeview. We had a Black. I'm afraid to even talk, but it's on here, so I'll say it. We had a Black Friday personal training promotion. They had this also last year. It was one day on Black Friday. You could buy a personal training package for $99. So this year they did sell 73 packages. I believe it was 6 30-minute sessions, and they had about 3 months to use it. We also have up and coming another membership, Lakeview membership promotion. This is something new. They're going to try a 6-month membership for the summer. It begins in January. You can purchase your membership between January 4th and 7th, and it is valid until June 21st. So they thought instead of trying a whole year, let's try a 6-month. I'm so sorry, but that's what's going on. I did want to, this is the time, Jeff, to talk about social media a little bit. Last year, I reported a little bit at the year end about our social media. We began it in 2016, so last year, obviously it was an entire year, so we're going forward with it again this year. I do want to make a note that late in the day, I did have Randy change out the graph. It's just a little bit of percentage differences, but basically it's the same thing. So just to go through it real quick, let me get my page here. So Facebook. Our fans, these are the people, the users who like our Park District Facebook page, increased 18% over 2017. I'm just comparing 2017 to 2018. So that's a great increase. Our posts increased 7%. Cassidy averages about 10 posts per week, depending on what is going on. Engagement, again, the meaning of that is the amount of comments and shares that people engage in. So that increased not so much, 2%, but we believe that the increase was not really great because we reached 40% more people this year than 2017. So there's not that great need to share as much because more people are receiving all of our posts. And we did increase our Facebook ads. These are the ones that we paid for. We do a lot of programs now with social media. When we create a Facebook ad, we do have to increase our geographic area. They don't let you just choose small areas. So we are increasing our reach, that's the amount of people, with every ad we create, which leads to more clicks and impressions. So everything is kind of increasing in an order because we're reaching more people. So we have found Facebook and all social media to be very beneficial. We do use Twitter, but not as much, but we do have a Twitter feed. So our fans, again, the people who like our tweets, increased 19% over 2017. We have increased the amount of tweets we do. And then it's all going in order with this. The engagement and amount of people who kind of like or retweet has increased 21%. So, you want to say something? No. Oh, I thought you were going to say something. So everything, I know, like that word is kind of a funny word. Instagram, we really like. So if you remember, Instagram is mostly photos. And we've got, Cassie's a great photographer. Lots of staff, when they're out, especially parks, we thank them. They'll take really pretty pictures of maybe a neat bird or anything going on in the park, some of our aquatics, and we post that. So our followers increased 51% over last year, which is great. We average about 5 posts a week, and our engagement, again, people who are liking it and sharing, increased 37% to 5,122. So that's more of our social media branding, and that's our social media. I just want to talk a little bit about our branding. So I kind of put it into two. This isn't on here, it's just me talking. We have our visual branding, because all of our bigger programs now have logos, so they're recognizable. That's not just words. We have the child care, we have the preschool, we have PALS is new, Lakeview Fitness and Family Aquatic Center. We also redid all of our Lakeview Fitness, or most of our Lakeview Fitness signage. There's all sorts of signage going on there, so now it's all the same font, all the same colors, it's uniform, condensed, and what the words say. And also our website we redid in 2018 with our branded colors, simplified, it's a little bit cleaner, easier to look at. And then what we call community branding is just increase. Branding is also perception. So the residents' perception is creating a brand for our park district. So that's just equally or more important than a logo or a font or a color. So we're trying to get out in the community, speak to community members. We kind of call this our community outreach programs. So our Go Vernon Hills program, which staff, with Tom and Cassie and I and Jack and other staff participated, we met with residents every single week from May to September. Every week we interacted with residents, and that's very beneficial for the park district. It's all free. Our little time to play craft things we go in the parks and now inside our facilities is free. And then this summer we incorporated a whole community outreach kind of at the Family Aquatic Center, offering a lot of free and welcoming people. We had our first responder dates. We had other dates at the pool that it didn't matter if you were a pass holder or not, you were welcome to our pool. So that's just the little synopsis of what marketing's doing. Is there any questions?
Any questions for Cheryl? This is great. Thank you so very
welcome.
much. Next item on the agenda is Commissioner and Committee reports. Being that there is none, we will move on. Board correspondence, there is none, so we'll move to item 8, new business, 2018 Perderma Loss Control Review. Jessica Mitchell, Mr. Manager, if you'd like to join us at the podium.
So the loss control review is a complete risk management assessment that the Park District goes through typically every 4 years. Our last one was in 2014, and it is administered through Perderma. Things that they cover, we'll go into detail a little bit further, but it's like procedure details, staff training, how we handle accidents and incidents. It very much is a team approach. I lead and get everything together for the agency, but it takes a lot of the superintendent's help as well, and then their staff also. Perderma provides forms for us that let me see if I can do this. They provide forms for us that we use to basically gauge that we're doing what they are asking of us to make sure that we're compliant. Here are the scores that we received. For 2018, we had an overall loss control review score. You might also hear us say LCR, that's the acronym that we use, at 99.43%, so we're very proud of that. Administration had 100%. Examples included in administration would be procedure manuals such as our emergency response plan, how we're going to handle emergencies as a group in different types of programs and at different facilities. Our policies, how we handle injury prevention, employee trainings, fleet safety, claims management. Aquatics was at 98.52%, parks and maintenance 99.27%, Lakeview 99.72%, and Sullivan at 99.25%. Within all of those that I just read, the percentage aquatics, parks and maintenance, Lakeview, and Sullivan, areas that are covered within that include property management. So our facilities being inspected every month, are fire codes correct, things like that. General liability management, how do we handle certificates of insurance? Not only do we make sure that we're getting those, but where do we file them and make sure that once they become expired that we're following up with the correct people. Field observations, examples for that. Actually, I should backtrack a little bit. So those forms that I mentioned are disseminated to the superintendents. They work on them with their staff. And then I set dates with our risk consultant through Paderma, Jackie Pierce, and she comes and sets up meetings with the superintendents, myself, and then we go through the forms collectively to see, to have her essentially rate us. For field observations, some examples of what she would go to review with me after going through the form would be for parks and maintenance. She watched them do tree limb cutting. So to make sure that they have the proper personal protective equipment, making sure that when they're moving the tree limbs after they cut them, that they're dragging them appropriately to hopefully avoid injury, or maybe they need to use a two-person team or cut them even smaller so they're not as heavy. Another field observation, for example, would be aquatics, seeing rescues or maybe a choking simulation that she would have them do. Lost experience, that is an area that we're also graded on, and we received 100% for that. This area includes workers' compensation, so measuring how we're preventing workers' compensation through trainings, and then also how we handle them after somebody does have an injury, how quickly we get those reports to Paderma. Also included in this lost experience area is employment practices, such as discrimination or defamation. General liability, how we're exercising our legal duties under statutory and common law. Property, how are we handling physical damage once that happens, or business interruptions due to property claims. Pollution. All of this is broken down into very complete detail for you in your board reports if you'd like to look that over at any time. A little bit further. I did want to compare the 2014 and 2018 loss control review scores. As you'll see, we did very well both years. The red represents the current score that we just received. I'm just gonna see examples of Sullivan. So we do recreation, you could consider Sullivan and Lakeview what we do all collectively, recreation, but we do break those down by facility. Examples of recommendations that we had at Sullivan and implemented right away was to have a cross-training where our camp staff trained also with our lifeguard staff to better understand what both roles are doing when the camps are meeting at the Family Aquatic Center. This way, camp staff understands that lifeguards are watching the water, not the children. Camp staff still needs to stay alert and still do their job. Lakeview, an example of something that was recommended that we do there inside one of our childcare rooms, the infant room. Each child that comes in has an infant carrier, and before this recommendation, the infant carriers the car seats were sitting on the floor. Wasn't great housekeeping, looks cluttered, could be trip hazards. After a recommendation, we had our park staff create cubbies that look really nice and clean within our hallway into the room, and it's a designated area to put these chairs, and the trip hazards are gone from that, so that's very helpful. So we did receive accreditation as a park district based on our score. Accreditation is Paderma's highest award, and it does require that your two most recent LCR scores are above 95%. And with this, we actually do receive a little bit of a gift for full-time staff and board members. We will receive a jacket with the Paderma logo and potentially this year also our Vernon Hills Park District logo. Board members, if you're interested in trying one of those on to see what size would fit you best, on January 9th, Jackie will be coming to our staff chili cook-off, and we'll send you information to invite you to that if you want to try it on, because they do have male and female cuts and sizes. We additionally get $1,500 in cash as a reward that we apply to our CPR and first aid training for our staff in AED. So the plan of action is what Jackie, the consultant, provides to us that basically says, here's some ideas for you to implement while you are not getting the actual review, while it's not a review year that you're not getting scored. So we will continue to implement that. Also, we will also continue to do all of the things that are listed on the forms that I mentioned earlier. Those now have become they're habit to us. It's second nature for us to do that. They're just general safety practices. So it is a lot of work that goes into this. It's definitely worthwhile. It's keeping our employees, keeping our patrons, keeping our facilities and property safe, and it's, I believe, worth every minute of the hassle and the challenge that comes with it. It's something that I think our employees should be very proud of, that I appreciate all of the effort that they put into it. Looking ahead, I will say that Paderma is looking at revamping how they're going to do the loss control review. So with that, we don't know if it'll be another 4 years or if it will be right away. They want to change, possibly pull away from a point system, so maybe the next time I'm up here I might not have percentages for you, but they do want to find a way to still measure the performance, safety, how we're transferring the liability, and how they can hold the districts accountable. Any questions?
Any questions for Jessica? Commissioner Robbins?
Do these wonderful scores result in any premium discounts?
I believe that the $1,500 is their bonus to us.
Besides that?
Nothing, no.
Any other questions? Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's absolutely fantastic. Next item on the agenda is the SRA CLC update with John Buckner. If you come to the
I will be happy to.
podium here.
Well, first of all, I just wanted to say thank you to the Vernon Hills Park District for what you do for our agency. Obviously we're a cooperative of other park districts and villages, and but I want to say thank you for the support that you give to us, just from a programmatic standpoint and the fundraising standpoint from both the agency and the foundation. So I want to say thank you for that. I also want to mention just how good it is to work with Jeff and his support of our agency and the events that we do. And I think he gets it. He gets the big picture of why we're doing it. And I'll touch on that a little bit with the sensory room as well. From more of a day-to-day, James, I know he left, but I do want to say thank you to him and Gabby for the help they give us. We have different issues throughout the year, like last winter we didn't have heat. And while our electric bill went way up from having the portable heaters in our office for 2 or 3 days on cold days, they were very quick to get us new heat. And the lights we have, it's nice, it's good for our staff with coming back late at night with the vehicles. Parking lots are going to be a little more well lit. So I do want to thank James for being real quick too. And we have little concerns to work with us. And Jessica, again, another person who I wanted to congratulate. We also went through the Paderma risk management or not the training, but the evaluation process. We're also accredited. We had 99-point-something%. So I know what kind of hard work that she went through to get that. So congratulations to the Park District and so on. A few things in our report that I know Jeff wanted me to touch base on. First of all, I do want to say with Cheryl, the points of contact and things, talking about the marketing. If you notice our fall brochure, and two of the pictures on the front and on the back were pictures that were taken from Hartman Park, from the parking lot in Hartman Park. So if you notice that. We're also trying to do some more work with social media. We several posts per week on Facebook. Last night, if you happen to notice the large crowd that was here, we had over 200 people that were in your community room for our Showstoppers performance of Buddy the Elf. And that we did that live on Facebook, and that's always a popular thing. So that was a nice event that we did in your building, and kind of shows we're trying to keep with the times too, with being on Facebook. A couple things Jeff did want me to touch base with is obviously the participation from your community. It's about the same as the previous year. We're going to have over 60 people who participate in the programs. And there are a handful who didn't come back, and we always try to figure out where we're losing people or why. And in the case of Vernon Hills, it has a lot to do with people moving. We had 4 families who moved out of the community, and obviously they aren't participating anymore with us. But the participation staying relatively consistent. Inclusion, about the same as well, but I will say that your park district is significantly higher than everybody else. Probably the rate of inclusion participation is probably equals that of all the other of our communities. And from a financial standpoint, it's significant. Over $11,000 last fiscal year was on inclusion. Our agency's budget takes care of several $1,000s of that, but the rest falls back on the park district. And that's significant. This current year, looking at roughly to date in our fiscal year, which is May 1, about $7,000. Day camp's the biggest portion of it. Also, you just never know. You have a child with a hearing impairment, it's going to run you $50 an hour, 2 hours minimum. You get something like that in an after-school program or in a day camp, and it could spike up. So it's really hard for me to really give very accurate amounts of what your inclusion costs are going to be any given year, because you just don't know. Just educated guesses. The big project that we're working on right now is our sensory room. And it's a huge project that we're real happy to say is going to be opening this June. We'll have a soft opening in June. We just ordered the equipment today. And we'll have the regular opening that will be more in August. But it's something that we've worked on now for 3 years, and I'm real happy to say that we raised almost all the money for the equipment through fundraising and sponsorships. And it will be the SRA CLC Mitsubishi Electric sensory room. So a Vernon Hills corporation that really I can't say enough about. They've been great to us for the last 20 years. And it's just really, really well-run corporation, and just how they get it with taking care of the community. The other Vernon Hills business that we've developed a good relationship with Rust-Oleum. And this past spring, they actually came in on a volunteer day and painted our office. So if you've been into our office lately, it's all been painted. We have a nice little signature room, our signature wall, and their staff came in and moved the furniture and got everything painted, so we got a nice little makeover. But we'll make sure that you are invited to come to the opening of the sensory room. I think you'll see that we raised over $120,000 in the sponsorship and fundraising. So the equipment itself is going to run us probably close to 70, and then our staff will be trained and worked on, and then we have future plans for it. But it's something that we raised on our own, and we're real happy with that. Through our holiday tree festival, with our golf outing, and just securing sponsorships, so naming rights. So that is a project that we're very, very happy that's coming to fruition. A few things that I just wanted to wrap up on. Jeff also wanted me to mention what we use your buildings. We use the Sullivan Center. Obviously, we use the Hartman. We use your parks. We have multiple programs that are run. Like last night, the Showstoppers has been here for a number of years using the stage. And with the little challenge with Lashin closing, that limits us a little bit with what we're able to use in your park district, but we'll make do and we'll work with it. And we do use the pool for our golf and swim and individual swim lessons. So that's something that has gone over really well. But in conclusion, I do want to say thank you. Thank you to the staff we work with. Great staff. We appreciate all you do for the agency. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions for John?
No.
Commissioner Kessler?
Question for you.
Sure.
You said that roughly 60 kids are from our community. How many are total in your program?
Right now, we're wrapping everything up for numbers. We have another month or so with this particular year. We're 510, 520 or so. That would include all the different park districts and villages, and then a handful of non-residents as well.
Non-residents can.
Sure, they pay a different fee.
I see.
For our adult day program or Special Olympics or regular core programs. It's double. It's 100% of the fee. For special events, it's 25% of the fee.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions for John? We owe you a thank you for what you do, for the residents of our community. It's special, and there's no other way to put it. So thank you for providing that for us, because it doesn't always get appreciated as well as it should, but never question that it's truly, truly appreciated.
Well, again, thank you with that. It's always, sometimes when I come and talk to you, it can be a little difficult because we're not going to make money for you. We're not in the profit business. It's the more people we serve, the more money we're going to lose, and that's just a fact. And that when you look at day camp programs, if we have a 1 to 2.5 ratio, we're thrilled. And you know very well you can't make money with that. So it's a philosophy that your park district has of being part of an agency like ours, and just again serving people with disabilities, and doing it correctly and doing it right is not a profit venture. So thank you for your philosophy of being part of a cooperative like this.
You do it exceptionally, so thank you, and thank all your staff, please.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda. I'd like to invite Don Dixon of Galt Hamilton to come up and talk about the kindergarten design, facility design, and the roadway update. Exciting stuff.
Are we gonna be able to get this on the monitor, or how would you like?
You want that on the monitor? Why don't you come on over and put it on this side?
Oh, you can get, well,
No, I can't get it.
Yeah, put it over here, because you'll be able to get with that camera pretty clean.
Sorry about that. All right, again, I'm Don Dixon with Galt Hamilton Associates. We're the civil engineers for the kindergarten edition. And one of the things I wanted to run through with you tonight, Jeff asked us to look at the circulation and kind of walk you through some of the recent changes that have occurred. I thought I'd start out with the prior plan, just to show the circulation that we had originally contemplated and the changes that impacted it. Basically, the bus traffic was always a west to east direction coming off of Aspen, with morning drop-offs, having the buses pull to the curbside as they arrive on the site. No particular order. They drop the kids off curbside, then they were to exit northbound on Phillips Road Extended and out to the east. The afternoon pickups were a little bit different. The school district had a strong desire that the buses be staged in the same exact position every day for the kids. A little bit different than the drop-offs in the morning. So that's where we enlarged the parking lot and put angled spaces here where the buses could come in, whatever order they come in. They would have a designated space that they would park in. All the buses would be parked at the time that school's let out. and then the teachers could escort the kids to that particular bus. So, excuse me. So every afternoon when the kid had to go get on his bus, he was positioned in the same exact space. I think we have 7 spaces that are angled parking, and that would serve the immediate needs. And then we also had space along the curb where we could parallel park an additional 3 for a total of 10 buses for full build-out of the kindergarten. There's no change in that orientation or circulation for the buses under the current plan. The passenger drop-offs was a little bit more complicated, and after we looked at several different alternatives, we, with the village, we're looking at, this is kind of a continuation of Phillips Road here, but basically coming off of Phillip in front of Victory Center, heading south with drop-offs at curbside, so the parents could drop the kids off, passenger side to the curb, get their kids out, circle back around, and then exit. So basically, under that scenario, all of the traffic was coming in off of Phillip and coming to the south, turning around and going back out to the north. The orientation configuration of the drives also allowed access from the south from Sullivan Center in case that was ever needed. We also had a connection here so that under event traffic, you could, instead of putting traffic back out on Aspen, you could, if you had an event down here at the Sullivan Center or Aquatic Center that drew a big crowd, we could take those back out the same way, which alleviated some of the traffic on Aspen. So throughout the entire process, we've had several criteria that we've been working under. One was segregating the bus traffic from the passenger traffic, which we did by buses up here and passenger vehicles on north-south route. One of the other criteria we looked at was having the school kids being dropped off on the passenger side at the curb. So that was kind of the criteria that we were looking at and building in the flexibility to also keep as much traffic off of Aspen as possible. So basically, the original design allowed us to do that. However, upon meetings that the village had with the Victory Center, there were some concerns raised by Victory Center, and at that point, it was decided that we need to look at a different alternative. So Tony, if I could have this. We'll leave that here, it's got the stacking on it. All right, so after the recent meetings with Victory Center, there are some changes that you'll see here. We're still oriented in the same direction. You've got the bus drop-off to the north of the kindergarten addition. And what we're looking at now is you'll see that there is no longer a Phillip Road connection. That connection has been taken out. However, the roadway infrastructure is such that if that ever needs to be extended in the future, we can just pick up on the plans and extend that forward. Currently, the school district has looked at several concepts that we've come up with. We looked at maintaining the passenger side curb drop-off, which would have required vehicles to enter from the south, make a turnaround, kind of a loop, and then either exit south or exit back out through the south side of Victory Center into driving the parking lot drive lane where the village currently has an easement. That presented some problems. So after meetings with Jeff, with all of the different stakeholders, we looked at some different ways to accommodate this. Now, keep in mind that during this process, the village was very strongly concerned about decreasing any traffic on Aspen Drive that we possibly could. The village engineer and village were strong proponents of a west to east passenger vehicle direct movement. So looking at that, what we've done is we're looking at anybody coming in off of Aspen or anybody dropping off in the mornings would come in off of Aspen into the main drive to the south. The vehicles would then stage, and we have another drawing I'll show you in a minute showing the queuing for that, and basically enter with a one-way northbound movement to drop off. This will be a curbside drop off, but it'll be the driver's side toward the curb. All of the vehicles will stop here. They'll drop off, let the kids get out, and then they can queue up the next car to go on. We provided initially provided 3 lanes going through, thinking that we could stage more kids and get more cars through there. The school district looked at that. They did not feel that they would be able to man that and release 3 kids at a time. So they came back with an option to us and requested that we do 1 lane for drop-offs, segregate that by the island that you see in the middle, and then we have a bypass lane, and we have parking on the far east side. So that allows continuous movement on the curbside next to the sidewalk for the drop-offs. It gives them the flexibility if they find out that it's taking too long to unload, you can go to 2 lanes then. You can have the curbside lane and you can have the bypass lane actually function as another drop-off lane. The other thing that we've been asked to do by the village was also maintain this such that if this ever needs to reverse, we can do that. Now, the plan in front of you would need to be slightly modified for a turn radius. So somebody's in the bypass lane heading northbound and needs to turn back to the south. We'd have to enlarge that slightly in order to make that turn movement. But it's a very minor change that we'd have to make to the plans to do that. The other thing that we've looked at that is not reflective on this plan, excuse me, this plan indicates that we have 2 ADA spaces and 2 parking spaces. That's keeping with the original plan that was provided. Our thoughts on that were if we've got somebody that gets called in for a sick kid, they need to do a quick run in to pick the kid up. That's a good place for them to pull over during the middle of school, come get their kid, not have to park in either in Sullivan or have to park north in the library lot. So that could be expanded to pick up 1 or 2 more spaces in here if that's so desired. The next plan that I have, and I know you'll be interested in this as well, is the queuing. So based on the counts that were provided to us by the school district, we are allotting for 35 passenger cars for drop-off to be able to queue in the parking lot. So basically, with the drop-offs occurring up here at the curbside crosswalk, the queuing would extend through the parking lot. It would hug the outer perimeter, avoid the skate park down here, and then it would back up into the the aquatic center parking lot. Now that's under a condition where everybody that's dropping off is staged there at the same time. There's no movement. There's, basically a log jam at that point. We have cleared out the aisle here. The intent would be for queuing would be people that would come in, they would turn south, they would make the loop and then go back to the north to the drop-off. That would keep this lane clear. It will take some training of the people for the drop-offs. The school has committed to having staff out there to assist with the morning drop-offs and afternoon until the parents become familiar with the patterns that they need to adhere to. That's pretty much the plan that we have right now, and I'm sure you have some questions regarding this.
Anybody have any questions? Commissioner Kessler?
I thought that there may be more than 35 cars that are being picked up. Is there current information about how many people are picking up their kids now?
We have a count of 377 students total, I believe it is, 260 of which are bused to the school, with the remainder being dropped off by parents. We went through this with the school district. The previous superintendent, Nick Brown, went through, they did actual counts out here, and that's where the 35-car queuing came from based on what they've experienced elsewhere.
How many kids total?
377.
And how many busing?
260 of those are bused.
So that's a lot more than 35.
That's 110. So you're telling me that
How are those kids?
35 are going to take, 35 are going to be driven, and the other 80 are going to walk, or they're going to fit in a car with somebody else at kindergarten.
I think those were the numbers that Gaywald was told by
Yeah,
prior
they're full crap.
administration. So, okay, so the reality is there's gonna be twice as many as what you're presented. You're gonna have 70 or 80 potentially.
Which means you're going to be going down our main drive backed up.
Well, no, because they'll have to queue in the aquatic center lot. They'll have to,
Well, so that length that I see from the entry point, the beginning of the queue, that's going all the way down, that's only 35 cars. So you're gonna have to at least double that somewhere else.
Yep.
Where
Yeah.
will you double that,
Well, you
all
got
those
10 cars in the aquatic center lot, I counted them a minute ago.
Right.
So if you use the outer 2 lanes, that's 20 instead of 10, plus the diagonal around is probably another 10. So you're at least adding, in my opinion, at least another 20 right there.
Where are you in 20?
If you
Doubling
move, if
up.
you move the 10 over to the east
Move it here.
diagonally, and then you can wrap it around the south end, that's a diagonal, it's not a straight square, it actually is longer
Right.
further over, so I'm assuming another 10 there, and I might be short, that might be a little considerable. And then because that western side is longer, it should handle another 2 or 3 cars, so that, I'm assuming right there, that would be about 20 more cars you would do.
well, so
You
then
got
you're,
10 there now, you move those over, you're still gonna have another 20 that are running east to west or west to east,
Right.
and then another diagonally out for the other, as they come in and loop around.
So you're using lanes 1 and 3 as well?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to come in this way, I'm going to go this way.
You're gonna hang a right, you're gonna go down to the diagonally down,
Yep.
all the way down to
Over
the end,
down.
around, and then
Come
that,
over.
so now you got 2 or 3 cars that can fit on the top right.
Yeah, you're adding maybe
You know what I
5 or
mean?
6 cars, yeah.
Well, 2 or 3 there.
Yep.
A whole nother row that's even longer on the west side.
Yep.
The original 10 are now moved east, and then you have the ones that are gonna run east to west along the south side. So that's at least another 20 car, I mean,
okay, so even
assuming I'm
if
engineer.
it's 20 cars, you're at
No, you're at
50, 55 at most, if everyone is nice and tight and everyone is there.
you could also use the aquatic center loop, since the aquatic center wouldn't be open, that would hide.
Well, not,
No,
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 keep them out
no,
of
you
the
don't
way.
want,
no, now you're blocking that pathway to get to the second lane, which is a one-way only for us to get into the Sultan Center.
Well, the school district will tell you they don't have 100 cars backing up for the kindergarten.
Show me the math, because right now they got 110 kids that aren't taking bus this year. How are they getting to school? They're walking, kindergartners in this
No,
community?
no, we
There's
know
no
that-
chance kindergartners in this community don't walk 2 houses without mom and dad
A couple
being
of
there.
ones that they did come up with was after-school programs, like some of those 110 were actually not leaving at the end of the day. They were actually staying in the school except for staying in after-school programs. That way,
Okay.
it wasn't actually 110.
We have 57 kindergartners in our after-school program
Okay.
right now.
Oh, there you go.
There's more than likely, you're gonna add more than that because we're facilitating them in
Sullivan Center. So
Okay.
let's just, on a conservative side, maybe, let's say we get another 10 kids. So we're at 67. So you take that 67 off the 110.
Now you're at a manageable number.
Some of those,
Now you're at 50.
but some of those kids could have taken the bus.
Say what, Jim?
They could take the bus.
Yeah,
They could have
you're,
taken the
you're
bus.
assuming every one of those kids is walking, and some of those kids can take the bus.
Well, no one's walking at 5 by themselves. They're
No,
not.
no, I'm saying is they might have taken the bus to school.
In the morning.
You're assuming that
Yeah,
every
but
kid
you're
who's
not gonna
staying
have
after
that kind of
school.
line in the morning, because they're dropping off right away. The line is gonna be formed when the parents come to pick their kid up
Right.
45 minutes
Yep.
early. And they sit there for 45, then the next one's 30, and the next one's 15.
At 2:55, school's out, and the Hawthorne 73 administration told us that parents start lining up about 2:25, about 30 minutes before. So,
Well,
And those are the ones that'll be affected by the after-school program.
we just don't, we honestly, I don't think you're gonna get a solid answer from the administration that 370 number, that 260 right now that take the bus, because some of those kids take the bus because their third grade or fifth grade sibling is on the bus
Right.
with them. Now you're going home on a bus, with all 5-year-olds, independent of that. And so that, as a parent, I don't know if people think that's okay or whatnot, but we're very confident that we think we're gonna get more people in the after-school program because you're not putting your kid in with older kids. A lot of people, we hear that.
well, what I'm concerned about is that we're cutting it so very close, and we're talking about possible expansion of the kindergarten building. They're expecting their enrollment to be going up. That's the reason why they're doing this. So we're basing this right now at the current numbers. And if we're trying to avoid blocking our main entry, I'm concerned we might not have the space and the ability to accommodate it this way as it
I
grows.
think the other thing to keep in mind, this is 30 minutes a day. It's not an all-day thing, so
And it's not 30 minutes because it's not gonna be 70 cars 30 minutes ahead of time. You know, the last 20 cars may only sit there for 10 minutes or 15 minutes because they get there, you know, not everyone's gonna get there early. We're assuming the worst-case scenario of everyone sitting there for half an hour.
I'm
get
just,
that,
I'm just
you know.
raising the question, and coming from the other direction wasn't really an option, queuing on the back end, queuing north.
coming from the east and then coming through west, like coming off a Deer Path and Atrium and coming through.
No, well, originally you had it coming, circling out. I mean, if you had it doubling, 2 lines of cars coming from the north heading south, is there enough space to queue it that way, or no?
So coming from the south, circling around, and then exiting to the south, is
Yes.
that?
Exiting through our parking lot versus queuing in our
No,
parking lot?
you can't exit through the parking lot, they don't want the traffic on Aspen. You gotta come in
Oh.
through, you gotta come in through the north.
You have to come in from
and go back out
Atrium,
the north.
down south, turn around, pick up, but then there would be no bypass lane.
Right. The only other option that made sense trying to come in from the north was Phillip. We did look at, we looked at the impact if we had to bring vehicles off of Deer Path, put them, bring them into this north-south road, basically what we'll call Phillips Extended, come south, drop off, and come back out that way. We ended up, because of the clear areas that you need in here for the buses to exit, not get caught in the queuing line and have to wait on the vehicles to move. 35 vehicles were putting them out on Deer Path. So we couldn't quite go over that far. That was impacting that street. And it was also putting vehicles staged in the parking lot for the Victory Center residents for a much longer period of time.
Somebody standing there and saying, okay, you're gonna queue in there whether you like it or not.
Are you taking into consideration, just because a child's on a bus, it doesn't mean he's gonna take the bus home. You know, many times the parent will pick him up, which is gonna add more congestion, more cars in this scenario.
Well, there's also the alternate theory that once the parents get out here and if they start experiencing delays and, you know, picking the kids up or whatnot, it will encourage more of them to take the bus to avoid that. So,
Have you met Vernon Hills? It just means people will line up sooner. They're not gonna, no, parents in Vernon Hills will sit and wait for their kid for an hour before they put them on a bus.
well, I was very surprised at the number that actually ride the bus. That's a pretty
That's,
high.
by the way, that lasts for the first week.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
The 260.
Mhm.
The number,
Jim, that was the current number they had.
I know, but I'm just telling you from experience, years.
I'm sure they
of doing
slotted
this.
for that, because that's the most that probably would ride it.
That was as of like last week when we met. That was the number they had.
Well, so basically what you're telling us is this is the only option. Live with it and move on.
Well, it's a very difficult site. You can see from what we have here, the positioning of the building and the drop-off and the segregation that you want for safety doesn't leave a whole lot of options here.
You're using a lot of words to tell me this is what it is, live with it and move on.
I think, given the circumstances, this is the best alternate we've come up with.
I have one more question. When you're queuing up in that line,
Said from the beginning, this is not what we wanted. We made it very clear. We did not want this done. We supported the whole project, did not have this happen. Go ahead.
I was just saying,
Apologize.
is there room to make it, two cars coming down that lane? I guess not, it's not wide enough.
Guys, this is 30 minutes a day,
I-
at a time of the day when who is necessarily even gonna come in and use the Sullivan Center? You know, Sullivan Center, I'm assuming if it's like most health clubs and most facilities, you're getting people at 4:35, 5:30, 6 o'clock if they're gonna come in, not at 3 o'clock, not at 2:30. So,
We have a preschool program that lets out at 2:30.
oh,
And so
okay.
our
I didn't know
parents,
that part.
so
Okay.
let me so our,
I stand
about
corrected.
20, about 25 cars maximum. And our parents in our program come in and they park. They park in the first row. And so they have to get out of their car to pick up their son or daughter and sign them out. Unlike this, that last row, I mean, if you came and looked at our parking lot between 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock, any day of the week, that last row, never used. That second to last row is employees.
Right.
And so we've talked to our employees about parking in the aquatic lot so that we could potentially make more room to get these kindergarten parents in through there. And so Dave, just on your comment earlier, yeah, I know this is not what the board desired because it was a year ago, October, when the school district came to us with design plans and the original concept was to queue cars in the lot. There was no roadway going through at all. It was dropping the kids in the Sullivan lot on the passenger side near the building and then coming back out through Sullivan and going out to Aspen. As Don indicated, this is the strongly desired plan from the village and staff and administration that they want cars and buses to come from west and go east. And so the only way you're gonna do that with cars, you can't simultaneously put the cars next to the buses as they come in and off of Aspen. For two reasons. One, safety, having buses here, and then you've got cars on the outside of kids. But secondly, you're gonna end up queuing 35, 40 cars, and it's gonna be backed up onto Aspen again, all the way to the stoplight on 60. So the best scenario, unfortunately, is to queue cars in our lot, in our aquatic lot. And it's gonna be a training and an education process we're gonna have to endure. We included our staff as well as the school district staff to make sure that the drive here, it's called Sullivan Center Drive, is free and clear at all times for our customers as well. But yeah, that's we've been through countless meetings, countless design options. Ideally, if Phillip Road, but that got killed early on. And they're not gonna pursue that again. The village is not.
Since
so-
that doesn't work, they'll just dump it on us. Commissioner Robbins?
No, that was my question about the kids. Is this something that we're voting on?
Nope. This is just for, basically, this is what we're being told we have to deal with, so. All right. Anybody else have any questions? Commissioner Blue?
How are we handling, or how are you handling all the moms who park their cars?
Or dads.
Or dads. Okay, excuse me.
Or grandparents, or grandparents.
Parents, whoever, who park their cars and walk their children into the building.
Right now, there is there's a shared, excuse me, it's a shared parking agreement with the library for spaces. So it's gonna have to be something that will have to be monitored by the school staff as to where that gets allowed to, these people get allowed to be parked. In the morning, if there is availability in, Sullivan Center, and they park there for the 10 or 15 minutes to go in and take them out, they'll have to learn where to park so they avoid the queues. And then the staff will also have to let them know if they are, impeding upon the parking spaces for your patrons there. There's also the parking up through here, which in the morning, there will hardly be anybody using the parking lot at that point in time.
You will, Jim. They will find any open spot that they can in and around the premise. They do that now.
I'm
And
fully
the
aware of that.
the library doesn't open till 9 a.m. And so there's 120 stalls in the library. And conceivably, you could have a lot of parents, because they don't want to sit in line in the queue, that they'll park in that library lot and walk their son or daughter in to the school and then leave.
That's coming in the morning.
That's in the
The
morning.
issue is the afternoon. Commissioner Kessler?
So I have a question on that. So even coming in the morning, if a parent would choose to park the car in the library parking lot, is that a main entrance that someone can walk in, or are those entrances on that side of the building just for those coming in through the bus? And I thought the main entrance was where the official drop-off is, because that's where someone's greeting them and they're equipped to handle it. Can somebody just go into that side door before the buses are actually there?
Actually,
That's Carrie. would
we have
be
the
our-
architect with
yeah,
us
the
here.
architect, Yeah.
We were wondering who you were, Carrie. We figured
I saw you
eventually
looking.
we're gonna figure it out, so.
I saw you looking. I figured there would be a point in time. I'm Carrie Van Sant with DLR Group. Essentially, the north side where staff can enter the building. There's also for bus drop-off, so it will be an escorted. There will be staff there. The main entrance is intended to receive majority of the students that aren't, that wouldn't be bused, that would be dropped off. But again, if we're talking about,
I'm sorry, the main entrance being,
The one of the east, yes.
right.
so this
correct,
is the
okay.
main entrance. The buses will unload here, and we talked about the 260 students that would come virtually via bus. So those would be coming here, come into the common space. Then those parking can park here. This is meant to also be staff parking. And then the area of the Sullivan Center where they could drop and pick up. Because I think what was discussed is by the time they're dropping off in the morning, it was not as much of a conflict
No.
with the programs that were happening at the Park District facility. So there was less of a concern of parents parking at that time.
But if people either dropping off or picking up and they choose to not wait in the queue and go to the library, there's really no point that they could get their child from that location. They would have to walk all the way around to the other part.
This is the entry point to receive students along this
For
drop-off
buses,
area.
though.
For buses, yes.
Well, what about a parent who's parked in that parking lot, in the library parking lot?
Can a parent go in that door?
Programmatically, the school district could have someone there to procedurally pick students
Just
up in my
'cause the
queue. I
reality
can't
is,
answer for the district what they
To stay
what
out
they're
of
going to
traffic
do.
and everything else, the most logical place to park would be in the Sullivan Center lot.
It's going to have to be.
Because it's closer to
It
where
is
you're letting the
closer.
regular,
It is
you
closer.
know,
I mean,
the
even this
drop-offs
distance
in,
here is-
and you
is
don't have to
for
cross
people.
traffic. You know, if you come from that other direction, you're probably having to cross
Bus traffic.
bus
And
traffic or
that's,
some sort of ramp.
that's my point.
Yes,
that
no, I
if-
agree with you.
That they're not gonna wanna use the library for that because it's not set up that they can
And I
either
think-
drop off their kid or
And that's
pick
where
up
I
their-
think, Cindy, where the school district staff's gonna have to train and educate those parents that you can't park in this library lot and walk across to pick up this front end.
Right,
You
so
gotta
which
get
means
in.
they're
The
gonna
Sullivan
be,
lot.
which means that there's even more
And-
cars coming into our lot versus using the
So we have to
library lot.
educate them that they do have to park in the library lot,
Well-
and then school district does have to have somebody there to let them in that door, so they're not parking in the Sullivan Center lot
But they
for
can't,
convenience.
you can't let them in that door, because now you're relying on a 5-year-old to say, is mom and dad picking you up? Are they picking you up at the front door, or are they picking you up at the back door?
Yeah.
Which,
Oh, you're talking about pickup, you're not talking
I'm
about
talking
drop-off.
both.
yeah, well, drop-off's easy, because drop-off, you drop
Yeah.
the kid off and you run into school and they're gone.
They're two separate scenarios, and they're actually fairly different.
Yeah, drop-off's easy.
So yeah, buses would come in here, drop students off. Majority of them would come in this door. Parents can either elect to drop their students off curbside here and queue and then enter the building, or park in this area for a brief amount of time and escort their child in.
No,
That is what we are
That's what
saying
we're
we
telling
are
you.
not happy with.
And I think that part of the discussion is in the AM, the timing of that
In the
fell
AM, fine.
in line, yes, fell in line with it wasn't going to cause as
AM's
much of
fine.
an issue. Correct.
PM ain't gonna happen.
Correct. No. PM, the intent is that they would leave the building here, get into the buses here, buses take off. The parents would queue and pick up students here.
Right, but what happens for the scenario where mom and dad wanna pick the kid up at school, park the car, and go meet them at the front door? That's the scenario we're talking about.
I'm not gonna say that's not gonna happen. Because it will.
Well,
We're-
especially
no.
if the line's 35 or 40 or 50
Right,
cars.
I'm not waiting in
long.
line, I'm gonna park the
They're gonna
car and go on.
circumvent the line, they're gonna go park the car and walk.
And they're
I
not
would-
parking in the park district.
Yes.
And then
Yeah,
how are
it-
they
it will-
exiting? They're gonna go out through Aspen.
Right.
It will be a learning curve for
No, they
everyone
can't come
involved
back around
on and
Aspen.
around the
Well,
site.
what's gonna stop it?
Or
They
if they
go
park
far.
In our lot,
Park
Yeah.
in our lot, they're gonna have to.
And if you live in that neighborhood, you're parking every day. You're not
Absolutely.
getting in that line.
I'm not going out to.
You are
fill
definitely
up
gonna
for
park, and then you're gonna go out the other way.
Atrium to Deer Path to wherever. I'm gonna go up, make the left, and get to my home.
I
And
think
it's gonna cause a traffic nightmare in our parking lot. It's gonna cause our residents,
there will
our
need,
customers to have a problem.
there will need to be school staff on site training from the get-go, procedural training, meeting with parents, when parents are coming into the building, there's going to need to be a lot of communication in order to make it flow and work, and potentially place people in there indicating that parents can't park and drop off their kids. Things can be done procedurally to help with the flow and with the issues. But I'm not gonna tell you that it's not gonna happen, because I've
I wanna
seen
be
just
around
about
for the first
anything.
conversation with a parent from Vernon Hills that you tell them you can't park and walk your kid into school. Can I please be there for that conversation?
I won't be there.
It just seems like we're setting it up
For failure.
as, with so many options and so many ways of someone picking up their kid using that parking lot. To police it to that amount seems so cumbersome. It seems like it would be nice to have a more set flow, but I understand of all the constraints you have
Ideally,
on
yeah,
you.
we would have had additional options
No, I
for
understand.
flow.
I don't have a solution other than finding, I can't envision this working very well.
So, again, I'll go back to our preschool lets out at 2:30. So our parents are coming about 2:20, 2:25. They park up near the close to the building, they get their kids and they go. And they go out the first lane and they go out Aspen. They exit. These kids get out at 2:55. So yes, you will have cars queued. And I think we're just gonna have to, we'll have to continue to send a message to the 73 staff that they've gotta have enough staff out there. And James and I have talked, we know we're gonna have our staff out there to police it as well, because what we don't want is 30 parents parking the cars in our lot, getting out and picking up their son or daughter, getting them back in the car, and then going out Aspen. And that's a village issue too. I mean, they have been from day one. They don't want to push additional cars out on the Aspen. So to make this work, it's just going to be a long-term education process. And Dave, I don't know. If that's the desire of parents, that's what they want to do. Honestly, I don't know how we're going to stop that. You can't tell a parent not to park in our lot and pick their kids up. You just can't.
Agree.
Yeah.
And that's what they're going to do, and it's going to cause a nightmare.
Well, hopefully they'll do it over in the library side, but if they do it on the library side, they're still
They're
gonna
gonna
go out
Now
Aspen.
you got to walk all the way around the building to get to your kid.
Well, not necessarily, because you might have the school district looking at, we'll meet them on that north side where all the kids are, and you can pick them up
But
there,
how do
too.
you know where to send your kid? I mean, you need to.
You would just tell your kid every day, I'm picking you up in the library lot, walk out the door that way.
Tell a 5-year-old that.
I know.
Again, I think
5-year-olds
once
are smarter than
procedures
you
are
think.
established, what you had has some merit to it. The district can arrange for certain parents to pick up on the north side of the building, just like with the buses. Just like how they use a walkie-talkie system to convey when students are at the car, ready to pick up and get Johnny or Susie going.
The
north
problem
out
is
to
it's
the
not gonna be that, in my opinion, it's not gonna necessarily be that systematic. I'm gonna pull in the lot, every day I come at a different time, within a 15 or 20-minute period. If the line's really long, I'm not gonna turn around, I've already pulled into Sullivan Drive lot, right? I've already pulled in there, I'm not gonna turn around and drive over to the library lot. I'm gonna pull in, see that the line's a little longer than it was yesterday, and say, screw this, and I'm gonna go park in the Sullivan Center parking lot and go get my kid, because I don't wanna wait in that long line.
Yep.
Or it's raining out, so I go to get in line, it stops raining, gets sunny out.
Right,
I'm
my
pulling
point
out of that
again, it's
parking
not gonna
lot,
be,
I'm
it's
waiting.
not necessarily even gonna be the same people every day.
No.
Some of them it might be, because if I live and I don't wanna go all the way around Deer Path, those people, you're right, those people are gonna wanna go back on to Aspen.
This is set
One
up
way or the
for
other.
failure from the beginning. But
Nobody in their
Well,
right
yeah.
mind's gonna wanna have to go all the way out to Deer Path if they live on one of the A streets, Albright or something, along the tracks there, and go all the way down to Augusta and all the way across Augusta back to Aspen and back to their house, if they can avoid it. When all they have to do is turn left on Aspen and they're 2 blocks away.
There was an option with this plan, wouldn't change any of the geometrics. Once the buses have picked up and have exited the site, that access to Aspen, the village would even mention at that point that was an option. It would allow that flow could go to Aspen
Right,
and
so they could
Atrium as
split.
well. That was only briefly discussed. There are other options that were discussed.
there's no way the village is gonna allow more cars onto Aspen, nor should they.
What concerns me is this is on our facility and we really have no say. I see so many
Shocking.
issues to this thing, it just,
Yeah, this is something we made clear from day one. We're for this, but you're not stacking cars in our lot. We made that this board made that very clear from day one.
And Dave, that was all on the basis that Phillip Road was gonna be open.
Right, and the village just doesn't wanna go against Victory and tell them, you know what, this is what we're doing. We're gonna count out of that and push this back on us and make us live with the headache. All right, anything else? Thank you all. Next item on the agenda is ordinance 7-18, an ordinance for the assessment and levy of taxes for the year 2018. Can I have a motion to approve ordinance 7-18?
so moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Meline?
Yes.
Commissioner Baloo?
Yes.
Commissioner Kessler?
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins?
Yes.
President Zorhofer?
Yes, next item on the agenda is Granger invoice. There is none this month. Next item would be ordinance 8-18, an ordinance requesting the conveyance of certain village property from Village of Vernon Hills. Can I have a motion to approve ordinance 8-18?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kessler.
Yes.
Commissioner Meline.
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins.
Yes.
Commissioner Blue.
Yes.
President Dorhoeffer.
Yes, next item is Resolution 8-18. It's actually W, are we doing this twice?
So
Shouldn't be.
one was a resolution, one is an ordinance.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Resolution 8-18, a resolution approving and authorizing the conveyance of certain Park District property to the Village of Vernon Hills. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 8-18?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Robbins.
Yes.
Commissioner Kessler.
Yes.
Commissioner Meline.
Yes.
Commissioner Blue.
Yes.
President Dorhoeffer.
Yes, last item on the agenda, Commissioner comments. Commissioner Blue.
Nothing.
Commissioner Meline.
No, thank you.
Commissioner Robbins.
Nothing.
Commissioner Kessler.
Just happy holidays for everyone.
And for myself, congratulations to staff. I heard the gathering was very nice, very enjoyable, and I apologize for missing it. So with that, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Meline.
Yes.
Commissioner Robbins.
Yes.
Commissioner Blue.
Yes.
Commissioner Kessler.
Yes.
President Dorhoeffer.
Yes, we are adjourned.